Welcome back to another episode of Unashamed. We're so glad that you could find time to join us. We're really excited about today, as we always are about all our episodes. Today we're talking about something really cool, but for what it's worth, I'm Daisy.
Scholar.
Nyambura.
Yeah, so we just are girls living life, loving the Lord, and seeing where that leads us, really. Today we're having a very, very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about friendship. In the previous topic, we talked about the things that we've had to surrender. If you haven't watched that episode, please stop, go and watch that episode because it kind of gives context for this particular one. But while we are talking about previous episode, thank you so much for all your comments. Thank you for the interaction. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate it. But if you know anyone who is interested in this kind of content, please make sure that you share. It's very interesting to be Christian and have both non-Christian and Christian friends. There are a lot of things that you always have to be putting in consideration, but I don't want to be like the only one speaking today, so I want to hear from you guys. What are some of the things that you consider valuable in friendships?
When you ask that question, I think about the kind of person that I am. I am not the kind of person that will be like, ooh, I'm going to make that chick my friend. I am not graced like that. Like, I don't have that energy. And fortunately or unfortunately, it is very easy for me to live without people. But I appreciate that I am not an island. And interactions with other human beings is necessary, not just for companionship, but also for sharpening. Because, it's from the interaction with people that, I get to learn and understand some spectrums of life. I wouldn't come to some information if I didn't have certain people in my life. So in this moment, when you ask me about friendships, I feel like the people I have in my life have found me one way or another. Like,
and forced you to be in a space.
yeah, because I have one friend I can think about off the top of my head is someone I've known since I was in high school. There's you guys, like there's a force that, works behind this friendship that ensures that this friendship doesn't die. And, that force is intentional in making sure that we are hanging out, we are meeting, we are praying for one another, we are doing all the nice things.
Hi, Kate.
So, and unfortunately in my workspace, like literally there's 3 of us in the office. There's my boss and my colleague. So friendship in the space of work, like really, there's little for me to do.
Wait, so when you guys say you're hanging out, like you're having a
like
company.
our Christmas lunch, it is my boss and my colleague and I, and that's it. Like that's as festive as our Christmas lunch
It's
gets.
amazing. I love it.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think God didn't want to overwhelm me with too much people because he knows that I need to free myself off to recharge and, be available in a mind space that is able to love and interact with those that he has put in my life. Yeah. Maybe that's why I only have 2 siblings. Like my life comes in small portions of
One
people.
husband.
Yeah, one husband.
We get the map. We're getting the map.
Small portions. So so I struggle with that question in the sense that I don't know if I have the authority or backing of choosing friendships as such, because that has been my experience as an adult. At least when I was younger, I honestly can't remember. I mean, I feel like we were friends by force. We see each other every day. When you're in school, there's already that environment that is set up, but once you leave those institutions, you have to be intentional in sustaining the people that you call your friends in your life?
For me, I've always had a lot of people around me. It's interesting because I come from a background where we're just my mom, myself, and my small sister, But I've always had, let me say, I don't whether to say many friends, many whatever, but the one thing I have had to be very careful about, because I have learned it the hard way, is being very particular on who sits, like who sits at that, what you'd call like the high table. Exactly.
In the boardroom
Yeah.
of our lives.
Yeah, who sits in the boardroom? Because, like when you're talking about like your colleagues, I was thinking about like colleague, boss. I was thinking about the last place I worked. And do you know, it's interesting because like the last place I worked, I met people. I was with them for only 6 months, but I have guys who I talk to up to right now. Like over the weekend, I was actually with one of my colleagues who I met. Wow. Like I keep friendships for some reason. I think it has to do a lot with my personality. But I have had to be very careful about who I allow to speak into my life. And I have also had to be very real with myself, because because of my personality, I'm also that, because I'm calling everyone a friend, I'm expecting everyone to be a friend. So when they're not a friend, I'm shocked. But the truth of the matter is, they're really not a friend, And so for me, when it comes to friends, that has been my challenge. Like, I'll always have so many people around me. I'll probably know so many people. But over time, I've just had to learn, who am I allowing to speak into my life? Who am I accountable to? I cannot just let everyone in. I cannot just let everyone in my business, because I've had to be that has been my greatest challenge. And for me, I remembered, it's funny, this one for real just came to me. I remembered when Job was going through what he was going through, and his 3 friends came. And so they were trying to, three friends. Later we learned they're friends. And they were trying to sort of like, psychoanalyze why Job was going through what he was going through. And they were even saying, hey, you have unconfessed sin. You have. Like, they actually look like they're diagnosing the problem. They look like they're actually doing it. But those were not the people that Job needed to speak to him at that time. And when Job got upset, he called them, you miserable comforters. Me, at that point I was like, I identify with Job. So it's possible for you to have so many people around you, but they're just miserable comforters. They're just miserable comforters. So I've had to do a lot of shedding. A lot of, falling off. There's been a lot of fall off as far as friends are concerned for me, because...
Watch that video.
Yeah. It's a previous episode. There's been a lot of, that... Shedding. And I've also gotten to a place where... Emergency must. Like, I've gotten to a place I'm like, just because we've met, we've interacted, we seem to have gotten out, whatever, doesn't mean that we are now friends. There's that meme that is, I don't know if it's a meme actually, it's like a quote. Like, for me, it's a quote. It's deep, that we have to normalize calling people colleagues, acquaintances, neighbor. What else? Like, call people what they are, because not everyone is your friend. Like, just call them what they are. It's your acquaintance. Just because I met you yesterday, we hung out, we are not friends, So for me, there's so much I can say about this topic of friends, because I have been through it. I have been through it with people. I honestly have. I have been, I have had expectations, they've not been met. And then I've had expectations in the right people, and they've been over-met. Like you guys over-deliver. You guys over-deliver. You do the most. What? You do the most. And when I say you guys, I'm talking, I'm talking about the force behind, and I have seen the value of having friends who you are of the same mind.
In my small circles, the challenge is usually that the fall off or the surrender is really painful. Because at that point, you have truly and sincerely invested in that friendship. Because there are not many So the ones that are there and the ones that are available, then you have given of yourself, you have given of your time, you have given of, I don't know, like you've mingled, you know, their mother's middle name, you know, that type of interaction. Like you completely know one another. So if, or when you get to the point where you are no longer friends with this person, it really does feel like it takes something from you. And that might not even necessarily be from a fall off or a surrender point of views. I mean, friendships come to an end, you know, like
Sadly.
with adulting, you realize that, you know, there are friendships that won't carry you through every season. There are friends that will be for a certain season, and once the season is over, it just ends. So I don't know whether you guys have also had like seasonal friendships where someone has been in your life so deeply, like you feel like, you know, this is a friend I'm going to cherish, I'm going to have for life. And then stops, it ends, it's over, it's finished.
Hey, manze, it still hurts. Like, I have a specific one that still hurts to date. Like, I was like, your season wende. You know, you're the one who just, it wasn't time, you know, yeah.
I like what you say, that we need to understand how to categorize friendships. A couple of years ago, I had the privilege of meeting somebody who revolutionized a lot of my thinking for good and bad. Number one, he always used to say, oh, I have a friend who is in X and Y and Z. I have a friend who is doing X and Y and Z. And I have a friend, and I was like, I don't think this is healthy. I really don't think this is healthy, because surely can you just have so many friends in your life and claim that they have some sort of impact in your life? And so from there, this is about 5 years ago. And from there, I sort of began this journey where I just needed to understand how I place or where I place people in my life. And it just brought me to what you're saying, that it's important for us to understand how to categorize people. Just because you see this person in the office every single day of the week, perhaps even sometimes over the weekend because you're having an activity that's running through the weekend or whatever, just because you're in close proximity like that doesn't mean that they actually automatically jump from the category of colleague to friend. That's not to mean that you can't find meaningful friendships in the workplace. I have some of my most amazing friends that I found in my previous job. That are friends, that we're friends to date, even though I left that job almost a year ago. And they've been very important and instrumental in my life. But then just to say that just because, you know, we are seeing each other doesn't mean that I'm going to automatically open up a space for you in my life. And I remember one time somebody saying, oh, Daisy, why didn't you tell me about X and Y and Z happening in your life? I thought we were friends. I really felt for this person because I don't think I ever voiced, you know, that I was like we were that close. I don't think I ever voiced. I may have, you know, treated her with love and kindness, which is obviously what is expected of us. But I don't think I revealed to her elements of me that were rare and raw that I would consider very important in a true friendship. And just like Jane is saying, there are elements of friendship that are key for you to observe, right? So an individual can be a colleague, doesn't automatically mean that they are your friend. They can be your acquaintance, doesn't mean that you're going to call them your friend. You're going to recognize them in that category, appreciate them in that category, and therefore never really expand your expectations towards something that may never be met in life. If they're your neighbor, they can translate to become your friend at some point, because we all have neighbors. They will translate to be your friends at some point, but only at the point that you determine that this person is of the same vibe, is of the same spirit as I am, and therefore we can perhaps open up this space to become a friendship. So pretty much I understand, or I'm still in the journey of understanding that it's important to categorize. To categorize people and just to let them sit and simmer in that category because it saves you a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It saves you so much pain.
Yeah.
But even as we're on the topic of friendships, you know, biblically, there are some really great examples of friendships that we can draw from.
Oh, yeah.
When we look at the story of Jonathan and his
Oh,
boy, David, and just see the journey of that friendship and the beauty of that friendship and the lessons within that friendship. There's just so much to learn. So if you are to carry away lessons of what a healthy friendship should be like, I would say perhaps you can even start there.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys value, or maybe not value, but just consider to be healthy friendships.
The level of friendship where you know your father is the king, you are next in line. Like, you know, technically Jonathan should have been next in line, yet he went ahead, not just cover David, but also protect him from his father. Understanding the assignment that is in David so much that it doesn't matter what expectations of society should be. That my friend will fight for me in meetings where I am not present. They will walk into boardrooms, they will talk about me in my absence. Just because they can't get the job for one reason or another, or because they don't have the capacity to get that job. This is just one example, because we are talking about assignment. They will speak for me well enough as if I was seated in that meeting room, because they have confidence in who I am. So for me, those are the kind of friendships that I want to establish. Those are the kind of friendships I want in my life. Such that I am not worried that when I leave the room, I'm not concerned about what Daisy is saying about me. I'm not concerned about what Jane is saying about me. I know that when Jonathan is sitting with the father, he has my interest at heart. When my friend is sitting with an enemy, he has my interest at heart. She will speak highly of me because she knows me. She will walk into a conversation and she will stop it because she is confident in who she's talking about. And that level of friendship you can't get to unless you're vulnerable with one another. The space of vulnerability doesn't just happen. It requires process, it requires growth, and sometimes divine intervention. Because some of us are like have walls as high as the wall of China. But God somehow has aligned people who know how to, you know, what this process. That masonry process of removing so that you shape the stone so that they're able to be aligned to build the house. God aligns such friendships in your life well enough that even in your, I don't know whether it's fear of letting people in or whatever the inhibition or resistance that some of us have in allowing people into our space, that there are people who come close enough to chip off. That's the word I was looking for.
Great.
Chip off at the wall. And they are patient enough that regardless of how high this wall is, they will keep at it until they break through and get to the other side. And eventually, we are celebrating that I am king, that they are king. We are able to celebrate one another regardless of whether things are happening in my life and it's not happening in theirs, or the other way around.
And those kind of people are like rare. They are few and far between. If you have one in your circle, I mean, great.
You're blessed.
You know, we are part of a group, a group of friends, and there's one particular person who is exactly like that in our lives, and we just like really celebrate her. At first, you know, we're like, what is this babe trying to do, you know? And then with time, you realize, wait a minute, there's persistence here that is digging at something, and there is indeed treasure. And so many times we've given up to, her desires. We've given up to her desires, and they've ended up really, really being a blessing.
We have figured she has our best interest at heart.
Completely.
And also it helps that because, when you have friends who are of the same mind with you, every time when I talk to Daisy, every time when I talk to you, I know that whatever you're going to tell me is anchored on the word. Like I always know you'll point me back to God. You'll point me back to Christ. Like I can come, I can vent, I can say whatever I want to say. But at the end of the day, at the heart of the matter of the heart,
There's always that question.
But what is the Lord saying? Exactly, and that's why I think it's so important that you're of one mind. That's why it's so important that you ensure that the people who you're choosing to invite in your life, you're very sure that you're of the same belief system. You have the same value system. Those are the people who deserve a seat. In the boardroom. Those are the I know. those are the guys who deserve a seat in the boardroom, because those are the people who are speaking into your life. Those are the people who, when life has totally knocked you down, they're holding you in prayer. Those are the people who, in the middle of the night, when things are just a mess, those are the people that you can call on, and they will not judge you. They will love you. They will exemplify. It's what Proverbs 17:70. A friend loves at all times. A friend loves at all at all times. Like at all times. Like it doesn't matter what you've done. I could be the one on the wrong, but when you're talking to me, you're talking to me from a point of love. I could have messed up, like seriously messed up. But when I come to you, even as you're speaking the truth in love, because your friends love you at all times. They don't love you. In love. Exactly. They don't just love you when you're there. And then when you walk out, they're talking behind your back. And then every time you get a funny vibe about a friend, I have always found that it's not so far from the truth. Every time that you find that you're having a challenge, being vulnerable with someone, like every time you talk to someone, you feel like you're exposing yourself, as opposed to, like...
it's a confident type situation.
Exactly. So every time you're talking to someone and you feel like, I'm not being vulnerable here. I'm exposing myself.
Yeah,
and then after that phone call, after that phone call, you're just like, wow. Now what was I telling you? Like, what did I even tell her? Then, like every time you find yourself in that position, reevaluate that friendship. There's something there. Like the trust level is somewhere. Either that or there's actually a problem, Yeah, so what am I saying?
There's something there that you said that I find so important, because you're talking about exposing yourself versus being vulnerable. And for me, it's important to know that the person that I'm being open to about, my life as a friend is also reciprocating. Because it's one thing to be vulnerable with this person, and they're always there like,
So like the radio presenter,
right? And you become the listener, but at the end of the day, they're not
pensive so much.
That's the thing. But at the end of the day, it's just you. It's like you're in a counseling session. Like there's no reciprocity. I'm not saying that even when you don't have a problem, you sit and conjure up problems, and then you begin to say, even me, or such as that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that make me know, feel, and understand that you value my time, my efforts, my friendship as much as I value your input and output into this friendship, to be able to then, do the same in that space. And I think I really appreciate that element. But you also brought up another aspect that's so interesting about just speaking truth and telling each other and calling each other out in love. That's a really difficult thing sometimes, I find, because, we are all called to live life. We are all journeying in this life, and we're all on different paths. And sometimes you may see your friend walking down the wrong path or what you think could be the wrong path simply because you've probably experienced it yourself.
Yeah.
You're probably in this situation where you're seeing your friend going down a path that is less than desirable. How do you go about, just being open?
I think that's one of the hardest, that and reconciling for me are like two of the hardest things to do in a friendship. And so drawing the line of telling my friend that the path they are on is a slippery slope without making them feel like I am attacking who they are. Like, I'm not attacking your character as such. Like, it's just you have been standing with these foundations, but the way that you're walking, the decisions that you're making, the people you're probably interacting with, because unfortunately peer pressure is with us for life.
That's true.
I mean, I have seen grown people with children undergo peer pressure and lose their entire lives as a result of, my friends have done it. So it feels like peer pressure is a challenge, a hurdle, I don't know, whatever word you can think of that we have to work at every time. So in this admonition, sometimes it's the company that your friend now suddenly has that is affecting who they are. Let me put myself in the position where I am the one that is being corrected. I'm the one who is falling off on how I hope that my friends would come and correct me. I would want to feel like it's coming from a place of love. That's one.
Sure.
Secondly, I would want to trust that your correction is from the truth. Because sometimes we rush to correct because we have heard, not because we know for sure that that's the truth. Like, I need to understand where, I would need you to understand where I am coming from. Then I, on my side, I need to be open enough to know that if Daisy comes and tells me, Scholar, the way you said what you said to Jane, it's not appropriate. It's not bringing glory to
The friendship.
the friendship and to
Or
God.
to God, yeah.
This is not that time where you showed love. The Bible says that they will know us by our love. So it's the way that we love one another that therefore the gospel of the Lord is, there's beautification in the way that we love one another. Because if the world is always looking at the church and the church can't resolve their conflicts, then what are we saying?
Yeah.
Yet we are saying that this salvation is anchored on love. For God so loved the world. So for me it is important, as I said, to understand and to feel that you're definitely coming at me from a point of love. That also another thing, that you're not coming to collect information. It is not so that you complete the story that you have already gotten from wherever you have gotten, but rather you have come so that you can walk with me. Walk with me through this journey. Then don't tell me the problem, then walk away. If I'm in it, if I'm in this mess, if, for example, I have become a junkie, surely, then you come and tell me and then leave me at that. And then this, for this moment, because maybe of whatever I am going through, feels like the right thing to do. But how are you walking with me so that I get back on the path that is right?
When you say that come at me from a point of love, that means that first and foremost, there must be a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
There must be a relationship that has probably grown over time,
Yeah.
and the relationship therefore has borne the fruits of love and kindness and goodness and gentleness and all these other beautiful things.
Yeah.
I've personally been in situations where I've had to remove my friends from less than desirable situations and was not interesting. First, the agony I went through to just tell myself, okay, fine, this has been going on long enough. And if you sit back and allow this person to go down this rabbit hole, there is no end.
Yeah.
There are so many things that cut across, and hopefully we'll keep having these conversations. This is just the
Yeah.
first of many. And so we not only welcome you to have these conversations with us, comment in the comment section down below. We'd like to hear from you. What are some of the things that you look out for when you're reaching out to friends or seeking friendship in an individual? Platonic, romantic is for another day, please. It's a monster that we're not even ready to deal with right now. But we'd love to hear from you, so feel free to comment down below. We'll engage and we'll probably find inspiration for other topics going forward. But what do you guys know for sure about friendship?
What I know for sure is that friendships determine a lot who you become. So choose wisely. And don't ignore the promptings of the Holy Spirit. If it ain't working, it ain't working. Yeah.
What do you know for sure?
Taking it up from there, 1 Corinthians 15:33. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character.
Yeah, I like that. For me, mine would be choose well, choose your friends well. The word of God again says that two cannot work together unless they agree. And so if your spirit and their spirit don't marry, and I mean that very loosely, by the way, if they're not in agreement, it's fine. Let go of that friendship. Let go of that relationship. You don't have to be in a situationship just because circumstances necessitate it. Be true to yourself. Be true to your God. Be true to your family and those around you. Be true to that, and basically just choose well. So we hope that you enjoyed this episode. We look forward to having you in our many other episodes to come. If you haven't watched the episode where we're talking about surrendering things in our lives because of the influence of Christianity and the influence of God in our lives, please feel free to watch that video. Of course, it's on the platform, so find it. If you know anyone who is interested in this kind of content, share. Talk about this conversations. Have these conversations with your friends, with your loved ones, and it's all for the glory of God. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we love you. We really do mean it. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.